Hey, Clark here from Motherload Adventure Tours. I've stumbled upon one of the Achilles keels to the 701s, and this is the mount for the side stand sensor. So what we've got here is you've got this bracket. Maybe I'll come around this side. You've got this bracket, and you got 3 tabs that lock that guy into there, and then this is the actual sensor. Hard to see because there's not much hanging down, and it just screws in 2 screws into this holder. So what happens is that you've got this plastic piece sitting here. When your kickstand goes up, this tab is going to go right past the sensor and tell it that the kickstand is up, and you can go ahead and let the motorcycle start. So as you're riding along, it's a pretty snug fit. Anyway, as you're riding along, if you're in your engine guard stops about here. You got 2 pins that slide into there, so it stops about here. So this area here is exposed. All right, this guy's sitting here like this. So if you're crossing a log, you get a rock that bounces just right. Anything goes south, that it breaks this little casing, your sensor now is going to float around. And depending on how it's resting, it may not be enough of a signal to know that the kickstand's up, in which case the bike is going to die. So if you're out in the woods in the middle of nowhere and the bike dies, and you're going, what's going on here? It could be that you have broken this little plastic clip. The sensor is no longer in place where it needs to be, and you're done. You can't just twist some wires or do something to bypass it. There is a company that makes a little bypass dongle that I have, and I've got some other weird issues going on with the bike right now. Like it doesn't start when it's hot. I don't think it's got anything to do with this dongle, but it's awfully coincidental. As soon as I plug it in, I've got this problem, so I need to disprove that. I have a feeling it's a loose valve issue, but we'll take one thing at a time here. So anyway, you've got this guy exposed, and what I've done, piece of angle iron, I put a bead on it so that as that tab pokes through this top one, and I'm going to weld that on there, and then I've got a little guard so that this little plastic case doesn't get whacked and screw up my sensor for the kickstand. Just a little FYI in case you get stuck out in the middle of nowhere and you can't figure out what happens. The scenario is the bike will start in neutral, and as soon as you put it in gear, boom, you're done, it won't go. And that's probably going to be this guy down here. So we'll follow up here in just a second after I weld this up. Okay, so this is the actual sensor. In the Husqvarna world, this is a $103 part. So here's the guard now that I've welded on here, and come around to this side all the way. So here's the new one, and you can tell this guy here screws into our little cheesy plastic part that clips in. So I think I've left enough room that I can in fact snap this guy in now. It's a bit of a snug fit. I can't see, I'm getting glare from the door open. I don't think that one, I didn't feel it snap in or anything. There it goes. Okay, so that's how it sits. Just those 3 little prongs that plug into the back of that plate right there. And then when the kickstand goes up, you've got that metal tab on the kickstand that goes across there. It says kickstand up. So I'll pull that wiring up and cable tie it down. I'm going to go ahead and change the oil while I got this bash plate off and see if I can figure out why this thing doesn't want to run when it's hot. It's got a bunch of mechanical noise coming out of the top, and so I'm hopeful it's just loose valves. I'm kind of at the service point, 6,000 miles, so we'll see what we see. But anyway, I'll get into the bypass part here, as long as I can confirm that that's not my issue. Okay, so I've confirmed that I've got some serious problems. We're about to find out what kind of a warranty Husqvarna stands behind here on this thing. But anyway, on the side stand switch, this was from a company called Vanasche, and it is basically a dongle that plugs in. This is the wire right here coming up from your side stand switch, and it's cable tied right next to the throttle body here. And you can leave this, if you wanted to, you could just zip tie it to the frame, so that if you ever had a problem with your switch on your kickstand, all you'd have to do is unplug here, plug this guy in, you're good to go. Now with this in, the bike will start regardless of clutch in or in neutral or not. So if you leave it in all the time, beware if you ever hit the starter button and you're not ready to go, the bike's going to take off. So they advertise it's for emergency use only, get you out of the woods, get you wherever you need to go, so you can get your other switch repaired. So that's that program. And now for my problem here. Notice I've labeled this H debris, and when I pull the oil plug, I don't want the stuff to drop, I got bits and pieces from a roller bearing, a needle bearing. It looks like I got part of a cage and a bunch of little rollers, and they're all stuck to the magnet on the drain plug. So we'll load the bike up, take it to my nearest Husqvarna dealer, which is going to be a couple hours away, which is going to be a drag because it's going to be 2 hours there, 2 hours back home, and then 2 hours back to pick the bike up, 2 hours back home. So I'm already into this thing 8 hours just to go take it somewhere, but clearly something came undone inside the engine. I had changed the oil back in January, I had about 4 rides on it, so can't imagine what has let go, but it's catastrophic, whatever the issue is. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about the bypass for Vanasche, and it's a really good thing to have, so that you've got same guys that do the the guard there too. So anyway, highly recommend that if you're off riding around. You're going to want to not get stuck, and this guy will keep you going. But I'm not going anywhere for a while. Okay, out.